Okay guys, I think this is working. Starting off the laptop here. Or not the laptop, the tablet. Just get back into my other account. Discard. Make sure this is working. Looks like it's live. Okay. Good. All right. Where is it? Do I have sound? So I guess I have to speak a little louder. Good enough. I know that's working. If you want to come on today, please comment. Don't just hit the invite button. Actually make a comment that you'd like to. I'll invite you then. Because I'm using that tablet, it's the back camera, I can't see what's going on that one. I can follow along on my live feed on my camera, or on my phone. So I can see it if you've commented. And then at which point I'll make an invite for you. I'm going to hop in and out, I would think, throughout the day. We'll start off here for a little chunk, and then I may slip away for a few minutes and come back to it. I'm leaving for Cuba tomorrow, so I'm just double checking everything's done for that. I'm also working on trying to print out some fantasy pages for my hockey draft later today as well. So I've got that tonight before I go away. So I'll just do some printing in and out on that. So we'll go over some things here first. I don't have any breaking stories right now. No breaking trades, but there is a lot of discussion going on, which is good. So hopefully we'll have a busy day and this will work out to become active. Anyways, I've got two boards set up here in front of me. Which you can see, that camera may not pick them up. I will switch over to my phone at some point. Maybe the next segment I'll do that way. We should start have some trades rolling by then, and it'll be better to follow it along then. On my right, this one here, we've got what I call the big board. And the big board here is going to be, this is a wish list of what would be the best available players I feel, or could be, guys in play. Now a lot of that's dependent on what teams are going to do, specifically Minnesota. They're at the bottom end of the playoff picture. They're there. Is this their last run with this many pending UFAs, or could he flip the switch today and sell some of these things off? There's a lot of value there. So we'll just see what happens. So on the big board, my number one player out there that could be available today would be Artemi Panarin. Carries a contract of 1 year left at $625,000. So he needs to be re-signed. Fantastic talent, and obviously a difference maker. He's the number one player out there available. Also on Minnesota at number 2 is Anze Kopitar. I know there's a lot of teams watching for these guys this auction, this UFA free agent year. Well, they're evidently not signed right now. So Kopitar is carrying 1 year at $7.8 million. Both of those guys are going to fetch a huge price, but they're difference makers. So those are my 1 and 2. At number 3, I've got Mark Giordano out of Edmonton. He's the number 1 defenseman out there. He's a Norris candidate this year in the NHL, and can change your whole team. Carries a contract still at 3 years at $6.75. That's very reasonable for a player of his stature. So I've got him marked in at number 3. Number 4, Evgeny Kuznetsov out of Anaheim. Strange that they would maybe trade him. Kerry McDavid, it would be a good person to have with him. But he is on the trade block. I've heard rumors more than once about him being traded in the past 2 years, even before he re-signed him last year. So he's is re-signed. He's signed for 5 years at 8.5, but readily available. It's going to take a good package, but he is there. Number 5 to me is Brendan Gallagher. 4 years left at $6 million out of Vegas. It's a team that really anyone they'll trade anybody right now. Their goal is the future. Sure, Gallagher's a great piece to build off of, but he's a little bit older than what their core is going to be when they actually make their step forward. So I'm sure he's available. And at 4 years at $6 million, that's a pretty good deal on a guy like Gallagher. Brings a lot of things to the table: penalty killing and grit and speed and aggressiveness, and he's got an X factor to him. He's a player I really like, even being a Montreal Canadian in the NHL. The number 6 player to me out there is Ben Bishop. He's the only goalie I think I have in the top 20 or so. But Ben Bishop's a player who, when he's healthy, is fantastic. He's a really, really good goalie. Like I said, if you do want to come on, just make a comment. I'll see it on my phone here, rather than trying to do an invite through the other one. Just reiterate that for everybody. Anyways, Ben Bishop, 3 years left at $7 million out of St. Louis. At some point, that team's going to strip it down, and when they do, Bishop is a piece that's going to bring them a nice return, and he won't be a part of their future when they make that decision. So Bishop, I got at number 6. Number 7 is Wayne Simmons. Not necessarily would be available out of Philly, but he's a guy I still think could be pried. 3 years left at 5.6. People are starting to wonder in the NHL if he can continue the way he plays. He's not the fastest guy, and age is sooner or later going to catch up with him, but at 5.6 he's a pretty good deal still, and he brings a lot, especially this year and likely next year for ratings. So that'll cover the 2 years of his contract, leaving you with only one really questionable. Rick's saying he's not so sure about making the playoffs now. He was going to win the cup, he said, but that may not be in the cards with this 2-game losing streak. But who knows? That East is still attainable at the bottom end there. Somebody's got to get in, and maybe Tony can miss again. Number 8, best players available. Keith Yandle out of Montreal. We were just speaking about them. He's got 2 years left at 6.5. Montreal's got a decision to make today. They're either going to sell or they're going to go for it, try to push into the playoffs. Yandle's going to be a piece of that if they stick around. If not, this is the time to move him. He's carrying another year left. He's had a phenomenal NHL year, and he can get a good return. Number 9, I got a player that nobody's been talking about. Basically, was an injury in the NHL this year. It's Corey Perry. He's a UFA in our league out of San Jose. He's got this year at 8.75. It's a big ticket, but he can give a huge return. He's rated really well for this year. You don't have to re-sign him. You use him as a strict rental, but he's a very, very valuable piece at number 9. Number 10 is another guy who's getting no discussion either, and he's out of Minnesota as well, and it's Ryan Kesler. Just a beauty of a playoff player. He's a guy that you'd like to have. 1 year at $6 million. Again, Minnesota may be using him as their own rental. He's also not a guy I would likely re-sign myself, but he's certainly a piece I'd like to add. So I got Ryan Kesler in at number 10. Just below him at number 11 is a guy that is highly likely to move today, and that's Henrik Sedin. He's got 1 year left at $6 million as well. Obviously, this is his swan song. There's a lot of interest throughout the league on him. Edmonton's very aggressive at making trades, so I got him in there at number 11. And number 12, Tanner Pearson. Had a slow start to the NHL season. He's picked up his game since he was traded to Vancouver, and in our league, San Jose owns his rights. He's 1 year at 1.875. I wrote that in there wrong. It's 1.187. $1,875,000. his ticket. So, and he's also an RFA rights, I believe. So he's a guy you could re-sign still after the deadline. And like I said, he's picked up his game as of late. Number 13, you got Tyler Johnson. 3 years at 5.5 out of Montreal. He's a small player, but he's quick. He's shifty. He can score. He can pass the puck. Nice addition at number 13. Number 14, this would be probably the second best defenseman I think it could be available today. Alec Martinez out of Philadelphia. Pending UFA, 1 year, 3.5. Very reasonable contract. He's a solid defenseman. Likely more of a straight rental, but a piece that could certainly make a difference. Number 15, Charlie Coyle. He is re-signed for 4 years at 4.75 out of Toronto. Still young enough he could further develop, but we're kind of seeing what he is, and his trade to Boston he's a third line center, and he's a good one, penalty kill, but and at 4.75, that's a good deal. I don't see him as a piece Toronto will be holding on to long term. Whether he could be flipped now is possible. Number 16, Joe Thornton. Certainly age is a factor for him. 2 years at 7.75 is an issue. Whether the Islanders would hold a contract on him would make all the difference there. And if Brian's willing to hold some salary there, I think he'll get moved today. Number 17, we've got Jordan Eberle. 3 years at... Thanks, Tony. Tony's watching. He likes the big board. Number 17. I'll just go through this first, and then maybe we can bring somebody on. Number 17, Jordan Eberle. 3 years at 5.5. Out of Ottawa. He's been on the block for quite some time. He's still a solid player. He's not what people thought he was going to be when he left the World Junior. But he's still a good player. 5.5's not a bad deal in this scope of things. And with a couple years remaining after this year, he's attainable on a rebuilding Ottawa team. Number 18, another one that's been no discussion on is Nicholas Kronwall out of San Jose. 1 year at 3.5. He's a really solid checker, we know. He can still play and is rated well enough as a UFA to be a great rental. Number 19, David Perron, same thing. He's out of Anaheim this time. He's 1 year left at 4.4. Anaheim would likely hold salary on him and can bring you value this year. Number 20, I've got Andrew Cogliano. Hasn't really been put on the block, but is a really nice depth piece. 2 years at 1.85 for Edmonton. Lewis may talk that he's just retooling. There's no way with that roster he's retooling. That team has got to go. And moving Cogliano at this point with a year remaining and a nice contract makes a lot of sense for Edmonton. So he's another guy. I put him in the top 20 there for my wish list. Number 21, Colin Wilson out of Ottawa. I've been on the block for quite some time. Another good depth piece. I think Ottawa's been trying to deal him in a position where people would re-sign him. He's got 1 year left at $3 million. If Aaron can get by, the chance that people likely are not going to re-sign him or just want him as a rental for this year, then the price should come down, and he's a guy that can add value for you this year. Number 22, we've got Lars Eller. Another great playoff piece. San Jose again, 1 year left at 1.5. That's a guy who can kill penalties. He can play center on your third line. He can really add to a fourth line depth and be a really, really strong team there with a Lars Eller on your fourth line. So he's in there at number 22. At number 23, I brought another defenseman in. We got Zach Bogosian out of Ottawa. He's got 1 year left at $3 million. That's a really nice deal for a guy that can add you a lot of defensive depth for the playoffs. Straight rental as well. If you miss out on Zach Bogosian, then I would move on to Chris Russell out of Anaheim. He's got a year left at 4.5. So he's a little higher ticket than Bogosian, but I'm sure, again, if salary was held, he'd be a nice piece for this year. And my number 25th player available is Matt Martin out of Philadelphia. 1 year left at 2.25. I know Matt likes him there, but Tandy likes him, but he's not going to make the playoffs. He's a guy you can move on. He'll add to your fourth line, and you don't have to re-sign him at that point. So he can bring a lot for you. A couple of honorable mentions there. Where there's Joel Ward available. I believe he was San Jose as well. Where did I have him out of? I've got a few different sheets here. Oh, sorry. Joel Ward was at Ottawa. And we got Keith Kincaid. Would be another one. Out of Columbus. And then Ryan Spooner out of Calgary. Those three guys didn't make the top 25, but they're also pieces that would help you out this year. And just for mention, Ward there, he's a UFA. Just 1 year left at $1 million. You got Keith Kincaid, 2 years left at 1.25. Be a really solid backup next year with a year left. And then Ryan Spooner out of Calgary is a UFA with a $4 million ticket for this year, but can help out any team this year. Oh, I'm having a notice that I got a trade to announce. If that's the case, you can either come on if you want to announce it, or you can message me. I don't know what you prefer. Maybe I'll hit the invite and see what we got here. If I can figure out how to do that. There we go. Oh, I think you have to, you actually have to be allowed to do it. Okay. Message me on Facebook. All right, I'll take that. That works. So I'll get the message through my other account there, or through this one, and maybe send it to my personal one, Will. That'd be better, because then I can see it here without having to get up again. So we do have a trade call coming. It sounds like it's getting close, and it sounds like it's something out of Calgary. So let's see. According to my board, it could be a Ryan Spooner on the move. Just a quick look at this board while we had it up. Again, this is strictly a wish list. I've got another couple names here available. I'm being told now that Cal Clutterbuck and Hutton. That's Carter Hutton, the goaltender. They're both on the block today, looking to be moved today. We got it is Spooner. That's looks like he's on his way out of Calgary. Just waiting for a trade call there. Quickly before I leave this board, you'll notice there's a lot of Minnesota. They've got a lot of opportunity here to decide what they need to do. That'll affect this board greatly. The second one I noticed is San Jose on here. And I thought they had a lot of horrendous contracts, and they did. However, some of those are expiring now. And Joe would do himself a great service if he moved out some of these pieces. And a lot of them are easily movable and easily attainable for teams to grab. And that's like a Lars Eller, a Nick Cronwall, Corey Perry. I'd love to make a push for him. And Tanner Pearson with being able to be re-signed. There's 4 really nice pieces out of San Jose that team has to deal today. Philadelphia. Tandy better get on this. He's got some nice pieces with Martinez would be great to move, and Matt Martin for sure, and Wayne Simmons. He's got to consider moving him as well. Edmonton we know will be active, and Ottawa. Aaron should have his finger on it, ready to go here. Yeah, they are. Tom's saying that San Jose team's a disaster, and that they are. So if he doesn't move these guys out, I don't know what to say. He's he's either losing interest in the league and we'll have to deal with that, or he should be moving something. I did send him a text message last night, so I'm hoping he'll come and do that. Wow. Another big name I wouldn't have expected to be available, and that's Mark Pacioretty. Not Mark Pacioretty. What is it? Max Pacioretty. Sorry, I know I'm only a Stretcheretti. But Stretcheretti, he's well known, eh? I got my co-host here today. He's going to be Timmy Thomas. He's going to help us out. Timmy's very familiar with Max Stretcheretti as well. And he doesn't think too much of him. Let's put Thomas down there. I guess he would be visible. I got Cam Neely here as well today. Put them both down. That'll be the co-host for today's show. Moving quickly from this board, I got another board here. And this one is the guys that I think are most likely to be traded. I'm going to have to move my position a little bit here. Didn't throw the contact info here. Getting a message there. Hang on. Okay, I'm getting information that Joe's going to stay pat in San Jose. Somebody else has messaged him and did hear back, but that's just an absolutely wrong thing to do. Anyways, I'll move on from that. That's something discussion for another day. These are the guys that I think are most likely to go a top 20 list. And I think it doesn't pick up the orange as well, so I'll have to read them out. We got Henrik Sedin. I think he's definitely done today as an Edmonton Oiler. Ben Bishop out of St. Louis. I really think somebody's going to take a shot at him. He's a goaltender that'll set you up for the next 3 years. Ryan Spooner. He was number 3 for me. Obviously, there's a trade call pending on him, so I was correct in that one. Zach Bogosian, I think out of Ottawa. No brainer, somebody adds him. Corey Perry at number 5. I really thought he would go if I could get Joe off his ass. Colin Wilson, just with being on the block so long, I think the price is going to drop, and he'll go. Number 7, Joe Thornton. And that's only if Brian holds salary. I think Thornton can move. Chris Russell out of Anaheim. Tobias Ryder. Wasn't mentioned on this board. I did pick him up out of, where is he? I think he's Anaheim as well. No, sorry. Ryder's out of Calgary as well, and I thought Will maybe would move him. Obviously, he's had a terrible NHL year, but he's got 1 year left at $3 million. Somebody would take a shot on him. Alec Martinez at number 10. I always want that defensive depth. Tanner Pearson at 11. Lars Eller at 12. Joel Ward at 13. More of these bottom end guys, smaller deals, people adding to that depth. David Perron at 14. Matt Hendricks also wasn't listed over here, but he's a really good room guy, and I think he would be moved today. Jordan Eberle out of Ottawa. It could finally be the time that he moves on. Keith Kincaid, just with having a year left, actually brings him some value, so I'd have him here at number 17. Derek Ryan out of Tampa Bay. I know Tony's looking to move him, and he's not too likely to sit on a free agent like that. Just move him out for bits and pieces. 19, Carl Alsner. Wasn't on the big board either, but he's a guy I think can be moved today. And my number 20 is Andrew Cogliano. I think he'll be moved today as well. So that's the top 20 I think are available. Anybody else has any thoughts? Feel free to send them. I've got. I want to thank a few guys. Sent me some lists yesterday. There was Pacioretty and Yandel. I knew that one. Excuse me. I asked some guys yesterday to contribute, putting together these boards. Send out lists of the top 25 guys available, or a list of some guys that were available that they felt in an order that I could then compile them. So there was, I think I had Tony, Will, Nick, and did I have another list as well? I had mentioned a couple others that were busy. Lewis didn't have time, neither did Andre. Wolf had a meeting at Barracuda, and then I went through myself and added some. So I took those 4 lists, compiled them, and came up with my big boards. So we're going to try and make use of those today. We'll scratch things out as they go, and we'll try and do a little more discussion on some of these guys. See, anybody wanted to come on for a few minutes? I would be willing to do that before we get a trade call. Who's even on here right now? I'm going to have a look here at the screen. It does not pick that one up at all. Yeah, I have to be higher. So I wonder if I can... Yeah, I can't get high enough to do it. It's okay. We'll focus on this trade board then. For now. Or maybe I can change the angle on this. Thank my kids for giving me their books to use. It's coming into focus. Slide it over a bit. Not quite, eh? Wonder if it's the window. Down in my basement here. There's a little tour here. It used to be cleaner before the kids, but we had to move a desk into this room and it's just got a pile of junk on it. That's the main wall. Stanley Cup hat. Up in the window here, which I may have to block the light. Maybe that's the problem. The old McDonald's trophies and another trophy of mine. Some other things. The only non-Bruin thing in here, a friend of mine bought me that from Crosby's first game. Get some more here. Used to be an entire shrine down here, but Big Joe. Some Stanley Cups. And the Bruin light. This one here, that stick is actually a Bobby Orr game tape stick from the 71 Bruins, the year between the two cups. Freddie Stanfield is the one in marker, right here. His parents were friends of my grandparents. And then all the others are written in blue. They're all on there, the entire team. Or Donnie Marcotte, Cashman, there's Terry O'Reilly's on there. Nick Beverly's on there. Just reading some of them here. Beverly. Who else is on there? Dallas Smith. I can't read all of them anymore. Yeah, there's Terry O'Reilly. And a whole bunch of them. Jacques Plante's even on it. Right in there. But that stick there, it's an Orr. And where's the stamp on it? Oh, it's right in here. There's only two of those sticks. There's two of those identical sticks. So that's a nice piece I've had since I was a baby. Then I got a whole bunch of other stuff still in box. I used to have a pool table in this area of the house before the kids. I had the Bruin cover on it and everything. We'll focus back on the board there. See if anybody was willing to come on. Yeah, no problem, Tom. If nobody's wanting to come on, I may, maybe I'll take a quick break now. Pop back once this trade gets broke here. Oh, hang on. Yeah, so we've got, looks like there is a trade call coming. I better have a look at my messages. I have a couple things in the works as well. Message another guy here. Send one out to Joe again. He needs a little kick in the arse here to get going. We'll get Mooey. Send him a nice polite message to make a trade. Like I said, there is a lot of discussion going on. Obviously lots available. There's no runaway team. I don't worry too much about the standings say there. You've got, Carolina wants to run away and Vancouver wants to run away. Doesn't mean they can't get caught. So I don't foresee there being a problem. Teams can make a huge difference today. There's some massive names available. So get out there and make some trades. I'm going to take 10 minutes, I guess. I've been on here over 30 minutes. So we'll shut it down for this first section. I'm going to print off a couple quick things for my fantasy pool tonight. Anybody has any good links? I used to use Scott Cullen on TSN. He did a great fantasy breakdown, included the lines and everything. Well, he's left for the Athletic now. I don't have an Athletic subscription. I may have to get one, but I don't really want to just for sake of one article. So I'm trying to find places where I can put together a preview package. I really liked his breakdown, but I use Dauber sometimes, but again, I'm paying for a service I really don't need. I know the players well enough. I just like having the lineups and a few sleeper picks. But anyways, we'll maybe do a little discussion on the NHL as well. We'll come back on with the trade, I'm hoping, and I've also got 5 burning questions for the VHL for both this year and next year. Oh, that's good to know, Tony. I wonder how I go ahead and do that. I'll have to figure out how to do that then. He says I get 2 articles free a month. I don't know if they pick them or I get to pick. I would definitely pick Scott Collins if he does that same breakdown for them. I'll look after this break. But I got 5 burning questions for the VHL related to this year and next year. So I think when I come back on, we'll jump right into those. Download the app and register. All right, we will do that. So yes, when I'm going to come back with 5 burning questions, and we'll have a quick look at the board, and I should have a trade to announce at that point. All right, so we're going to stop for 10 minutes. I'll be back on at about 10:15. All right, thanks, guys.